Welcome to this episode of The Blade Boys. I'm Ted Flett.
And I'm Itas.
And we are continuing our predictions as to what will transpire in Helsinki, Finland at the World Figure Skating Championships. This episode, we're going to break down the men and the ice dance competition. Mm-hmm. So, Myth, the men's competition, what do you say? I mean, what can you say about men's figure skating right now? It is berserk crazy with all these quadruple jump. It's thrilling. The final flight, like those last six skaters who I'm expecting will be Hanyu, Uno, Chan, Fernandez, Chen, and Jin.
Yeah.
If it's those six, the practice, the warm-up, the 6-minute warm-up, if the ice is
I feel bad for the little people who have to fill in the holes and that Zamboni is going to have to go around 4 times because everyone's going to be spinning around 4 times trying to land all those quads and whatnot. And somebody somewhere,
it's going to be on fire. The whole thing's going to go up in flames.
Somebody needs to do a stats of the number of quads produced. I mean, even at the Grand Prix final, it was an absurd number of quads just among 6 skaters. Even at 4 continents, it was an absurd number.
I know the ISU doesn't really allow it, but my gosh, I hope there's a fan cam in Helsinki and someone captures just the ice. Don't move the camera. I just want to be able to see what happens on that warm-up. I want to see all of it. I want to see who's going to cut off who. I want to see who's doing side-by-side quads. It would be crazy. It would be crazy.
How do you even warm up that? Nathan Chen, he'll have to warm up 4 different quads.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And I think, similar to the Paris competition, I think there are some clear front-runners, more so in men than in pairs, but it could go anyway. They're all relatively good. They've all have a couple of Achilles heels. And they're attempting such high-risk stuff that they could go down like a ton of bricks and tumble off the podium.
Yeah.
The guys who you're expecting or who are even in the top 3 after the short program. It's so up in the air.
And speaking
which made predictions awfully tough, but we'll do the big reveal for who Myth and I think will podium in the men's event. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Wow.
So we're diverging a wee bit here.
A little divergence here going,
So we've got the silver and gold medalists swapped and different bronze medalists.
Yeah.
You've got Shuma Ono of Japan, and I've got Javier Fernandez of Spain. So obviously we both agree that Chen and Hanyu are going to be gold and silver in some configuration. You're giving Yuzuru the edge. Tell me why.
So Yuzuru, he's always the number 1 contender, in my opinion. He's until Nathan Chen came out this year and started landing all these quads. And even though Nathan Chen beat Yuzuru at 4 continents with an amazing skate, and is really putting the pressure on, I think what's going to put Yuzuru over the top is focusing on just rotating his jumps. Because what's happened is that he has doubled his quad Salchow, countless times throughout the season, and it's really hurt him in garnering the points he needs just to stay ahead, because he's on paper supposed to be the winner, but he lost to Patrick Chan, he lost the free skate at the Grand Prix final, and 4 continents overall he lost to Nathan Chen. So he's shown vulnerability throughout the season, but he's also showing greater consistency, especially in his 4 continents free skate, where he, after a little bit of rejigging, he managed to land 4 quads. 4 quads. 4 quads. Mm-hmm. Because he replaced his Lutz with a quad toe, I believe.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so he landed 4 quads, 2 axles. So
he did 4, Chen did 5 at
yes.
4 continents.
So he did the technical difficulty, but he also doubled a quad, so that also dropped his score.
Did we single the Lutz too? Or was that a different competition?
No, it was a different competition.
Okay, sorry.
But he doubled a Salchow, and that second Salchow in his free skate has been, every time we go up to that pass, I'm just dude, just rotate it. At this point, it's just, in the past, he's done that before, where, as long as he rotates it, he'll get the points needed. And on top of that, as long as he doesn't rejig his program like he did at 4 continents, he's bound to get component scores that are 95 plus if he skates close to clean. So that gives him an edge over Nathan Chen as well by about 7 points, give or take, in each. 7 points and then 4 points in short, or long and short programs. And I also think Yuzuru, he knows that he needs to step it up this year. Like he's hungry to get that world championship again. I think Nathan Chen was a very smart choice for the world championship. I debated this myself, and I almost put Nathan at the top, because when you have that technical difficulty and you're able to execute it as consistently as he has, like Nathan's able to execute 5 quads more consistently than anyone is able to execute 3 or 4 quads, and this has been like his last 2 competitions, U.S. Nationals and 4 continents, and going into like the World Championships that he will at least rotate the quads minimum, and being the U.S. champion and having just come off like 88 components at 4 continents, he will at least get enough component scores to like cut up, and enough technical scores to cut away people like Patrick Chan or people like even Boyang Jin, who doesn't have the artistic scores that some of the other guys have. So he's definitely a shoo-in for the podium. So why do you think he will win?
So I just say my sense now is Nathan has got to have this unbridled confidence after for the Grand Prix final, 4 continents, or the U.S. National Championships, and then 4 continents.
And even the Grand Prix final where he won the free skate.
Yeah.
Right? With an amazing free
created
skate.
lots of buzz when he won the silver medal. His second silver on the Grand Prix series behind, because he also did that at NHK, behind U0, to really solidify that he's right up there hanging with the big guns, and then surpassed him, of course, at the 4 continents championships. There was an amazing quote. Someone asked Nathan about, does this buzz heading into the Olympics give you pressure? And he said, absolutely not. I want the buzz. I want the buzz all around me going into the Olympics. So he does not seem to be caving as a result of all the attention and the buzz that's now circulating around him.
He's actually getting better.
Yuzuru, on the other hand, I think, so there's a few things I think at play with Yuzuru and why I've slotted him as this year's silver medalist. I think Yuzuru, the threshold and the standard that he reached last season at the NHK and the Grand Prix final was phenomenal, and he couldn't maintain that going into the World Championships. So you could say advantage Yuzuru, because he used to peak way too early, and then he didn't have enough gas in the tank when he got to Worlds. So maybe he will have the gas here. However, I just don't think, he has not had a clean skate essentially all season long. He's made mistakes here, there, and everywhere.
Yes.
And I feel as though he just doesn't have as much to draw on. And the strength artistically and components-wise of his programs last year, particularly the Warrior Free Skate, phenomenal. I think Prince is a little hard for people to get behind.
I love
Some people like it. It's a little polarizing. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm in the not sure camp. Heading towards the don't camp. You obviously like it. And then for his free skate, he's gone back to this super over-the-top, and in some cases, just it seems either distant or disinterested music, classical music, and the frilly costumes, and that it's just not as tangible as what Nathan is putting out there. Even though Nathan's criticized as not being the artist, I think it's easier to get into Don Quixote, or it's easier to get into the music he's skating to, the Polynesian dances or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Vetzian does dances. Whatever. Lots of Russians skating to it. It's bring them success. It's going to do it for Nathan. So it just makes Nathan's music just a bit more.
I can't even.
Something dances.
Y'all go look it up or write it in the comments.
Ian Dungeon's getting it too in 1998. Yeah. They did a great job of it, and anyways, here we go. So that's where I see the difference being between Yuzuru and Nathan.
You know what? And I agree with you. Like, I think his Prince program is phenomenal. Like, I love the character and the energy that he brings to it, and I actually think it's one of his best short programs, and it's also a nice showcase of his versatility, because a lot of times he does have that, like, as you said, that kind of frilly elegance to him that, it's kind of like when Javier Fernandez came out with the Black Betty program. Like, oh, you're capable of doing this, right? Like, because you develop a shtick over the years, and then it's like, oh, when you see somebody break free from that, it's really refreshing. And I love his Prince program because of that. The only thing is that he hasn't quite, like, his warm-ups have been good, but he just hasn't quite mastered that his difficulty quite yet. And it's quad loop is kudos to him. He's one of
the quad loop as well. I should have said the quad loop. I mean, that's fantastic. He's introduced it. He's landed it multiple times in the short end free. Good for him. Really.
For sure. And like the thing about Hanyu is that his free skate doesn't have that quality that Seimei had last year, and there's something about it, like it doesn't have the story that Seimei has, or at least the intensity and that excitement that I get. I mean, it really showed. I know at Four Continents he was rejigging it, but it was very, like at Four Continents while it was technically great to see him rejig and get the 4 quads in there, it seemed that ended up being his priority, and that's kind of been his priority this season, to really up his technical game. And I think his program has sort of suffered as a result of it. Like, the judges aren't quite as receptive to it. He doesn't really turn on the interpretation or intensity, at least at Four Continents for sure, until the step sequences and stuff like that. And it really looks like he's going to work instead of like he's delivering a performance. And I think that is reflective of him trying to up his technical game. But that being said, he does need to do that going into the Olympic year. I think whatever his Olympic program will be, it'll be a masterpiece, and it'll be a lot more palatable than his free skate that he performed this year. But
well, we'll see.
but his short program, I'm really responding to, and I think he has a really good shot at winning. He doesn't always bring his best to Worlds, which is probably why you might not necessarily have him on the top of your podium. But he's also very hungry to get back onto that top spot and really cement himself as the favorite going into the Olympics. So, and speaking of like top spots, you had the reigning 2-time world champion, and you know I pulled a bit of Duhamel Radford on this, and I didn't go with the 2-time reigning world champion, which makes sense on paper.
Right. But
it's really hard with this quad fest. So you have Fernandez in third.
Yeah, so I mean, Javier Fernandez has had, you know, I think he had of course he had difficulties at the Grand Prix final in the free skate there. Europeans was fairly good. But he also showed up. He won it. Of course,
it wasn't as great as
the lion's share of the competition right now in the men's event. Of course, was at the Four Continents because of the Americans and the Japanese and Patrick Chan from Canada. But he had a great performance, for example, at Rostocom Cup. I think he's got just more experience this year to draw on in terms of some positive experiences to make this happen at the World Championships. And I mean, my goodness, the Boston was such a pressure cooker. I think he skated. No, he didn't skate last, but he skated after U0.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Chan skated last, but he skated lights out. He was foot perfect.
I
think he might have known that U0 had screwed up, which can really play with someone's head, and you think, oh boy, now the door really is open, and then you close it on yourself, and he just barreled through it like a wrecking ball, and he's got that Duhamel Radford, you know, make it happen sort of winning attitude, and he can. You know,
he didn't care about that. He didn't care that he was back 12 points after that short program. It was like whatever. Like, totally. And that's the thing about men's.
Still moving away.
All it takes is like one or two like major error, which is like, you know, usually like doubling a quad cost him 4 continents, or even like doing the weird half loop thing that he did after doubling the quad and not doing a triple side, like that cost him like the points he would have needed over Nathan Chen. So that's another reason I had Yuzuru over Nathan Chen, because Yuzuru needs to make like significant major errors, and Nathan Chen needs to skate almost lights out for Chen to beat him.
Right.
That being said, like Chen can still do it because he has shown in his past 3 free skates and like past 2 short programs that he can definitely skate lights out. Right, so there's no question about that. But Javier Fernandez definitely a podium contender. So that's.
But you think Shoma Uno is gonna get the edge? So I think what's your thinking there?
So I think Shoma Uno, he's a bit of a sleeper, and he's ready to pounce on the world podium. I think he has added a quad loop, which was absolutely gorgeous. Like, oh my goodness, that's like, no offense to Yuzuru, but like, and the Japanese fan, at least Shoma's Japanese, so I can say this, but like, his quad loop was like, was butter, and one of the best ones I've ever seen. Not that there have been many out there. But that coupled with his quad flip, some people are saying it's pre-rotated. I think it's fine. Like, whatever. Like, he's doing a quad for all intents and purposes. And then he has the backloaded difficulty. Like, his issues where he fell on his axle attempts. He rectified those come 4 continents, and the Asian Winter Games was a bit of a dicey competition for him, where he arguably should have lost to Jin. But I think he needed that out of his system, and coming into Worlds, he will get his flip, he will get his loop, and he will bring the technical content that will be needed to push somebody like Javier Fernandez, who's doing essentially the same technical content, but has slightly higher component scores. I think Shoma will surprise a lot of people at Worlds, and I've always loved his skating quality and his style. His program has kind of grown on me a little bit. The vocals are a little bit weird, but at least it's interesting to watch, and he's able to interpret it really well. So, in spite of it being a very difficult piece to interpret, so
I think he's brought quite a bit of fire to the tango.
Yes,
free skate.
yes,
I like it. I think he's got he's continually improving his component scores over last year. He's gotten rid of the green free skating costume to something much more.
Nobody was envying that. Okay.
Yeah, no one green.
Envy with that.
Totally. So. Well played. And so I think he's got great material this year too.
Yeah, he has really good material. He's a standout. He's actually really reserved off ice. He's very shy and stuff, which is very interesting because when he gets onto the ice,
personality.
Puts on this big personality, smooth jumps, his knee landings. I know a lot of people think it's a little weird, but I love that flow that he gets, and he has the transitions, he has the spreading, and he's just getting better and better and better each time he's out. Not just in terms of upping his own technical game, he can also do a quad Salchow as well. Who knows? He might throw that.
And he's not just Japan's second best skater. Although he hasn't yet, I think he's very close. He's right on the cusp of outperforming Yuzuru, at some point in time, if not this season, maybe next. And an outside chance at the podium in the men's event is Patrick Chan.
Yes.
Who continues his sort of up and down, uncertain sort of event results over the course of the season, much like last year. He didn't peak. He hasn't peaked yet like he did last season at 4 continents. No. Maybe that is good for him, but he doesn't have as much to draw on potentially in terms of confidence and go forwardness. Though he did really well in the short program at the Grand Prix final, and just keeps creeping closer to breaking 100. I think he's at 99.7.
I know. They should have just given him 100
just flick him over 100 and let him call it.
Anyways, and also at Canadian Nationals, he had an amazing free skate there. So he's getting that quad Salchow in there as well. So he's doing his thing. I know a lot of people are counting him out, but he's at least trying and adding difficulty. And let's be honest, as far as skating ability goes, he's to me the best in the world.
Agreed.
It's that, and if he had the technical ability that somebody like Nathan Chen has, or Yuzuru Hanyu, he would it would be no question that he would be the winner. But he just doesn't have that level of technical ability, especially in the short part. But he's also a work in progress. He's not looking to win this world. He knows that there's a lot of guys who can outgun him with their quads. Otherwise, he would add his quad Salchow to his short program, knowing that he would need it to win. Right now, he's getting a comfort level, and I would presume in the Olympic season, he would add a quad Salchow to his short program, and then have his 3 quads in the free program, and then and then see what happens. But he does get great of execution for what he does do. So that's a way he's able to make up points. And again, he's a consummate veteran, and the judges love him. And when he skates after or before any other skater, it really puts pressure on them because he has that quality of skating that is undeniably the best in the world, arguably. So it'll be difficult for him.
Absolutely still a contender and a sentimental favorite, regardless of how he finishes. And I think this is about, ideally for him, long term, trying to step on the podium at, in Pyeongchang. He's probably got an athlete's mindset. He wants to be on the top of the podium. Maybe that'll happen for him, but maybe even more realistically, he can get on the podium, and that will feel like a vindication. And he will absolutely factor into the team competition in helping Canada to win a medal, perhaps even Canada's shot at gold in the team event. And then the only other skater really in the men's really quickly is Boyang Jin.
I was about to say,
he is, of course, the reigning bronze medalist. A bit of a surprise there when Chan and Uno folded last year in Boston. I think they're going to learn from those experiences and redeem themselves. Certainly, I think Shoma has the goods to do that. As we said, Patrick's still working on the quadruple Saukow and getting it consistent in the program. But Boyang has worked. I think he's really worked on his personality and his on-ice presence. It's still, his maturity level is still not there yet. But Spider-Man and
I love that program.
And Strata for the long program. These are great picks. He is warming up the audience. He's creating more pizzazz. Sometimes when you go really far with music like that, it also shows where you need to develop more.
Yeah.
And so there is a bit of a spotlight to that. But good on him for picking music and having the bravery to try and skate it through and skate it as best he can. So
I'm gunning for him to do well as well. And he's one of my favorite skaters. And again, he can bust out 4 quads. Probably he can even do 5 quads if he wants to. And he had a great skate coming off the Asian Winter Games. So hopefully that gives him some momentum going into Worlds, because he can definitely play spoiler for some of the countries who are looking to maintain 3 spots. So that'll be an interesting battle to see how he factors in to the overall competition. Even Russia, they're looking to get 2 spots for the Olympics this year. They only got 1 last time, but with Maxim Kovtun having an amazing skate at Europeans and Mikhail Kolyada also having a great skate, I think they will definitely maintain 2 spots as well. So it'll be an interesting men's competition. Definitely a quad fest that we'll start. We're going to be counting up the quads, and hopefully you will be too. So that will be very interesting to watch.
Agreed. So the ice dance event has been interesting all season long, of course, with the return of Virtue and Moyer and some recategorizing or sort of re-ranking of skaters.
So there's a little bit of flipping around here and there, which is great because
not buckets, but there's been some.
Yeah, not as much as last season. Last season was very hard to predict. But
Agreed.
This season it was I don't know, with Virtue and Moyer coming back, it kind of reduced the chaos a little bit for whatever reason. So. Here are our predictions for the ice.
Again, Myth and I have not seen one another's predictions, so the big reveal.
Oh, okay.
So pretty close. So I'm predicting Virtue and Moyer, as you are, for gold. Papadakis and Cizeron of France for silver. You've got the Shibatanis in bronze, and I've got Chalk and Bates, who I think are going to sneak in there and win the bronze. So Virtue and Moyer. Okay, here's also what I think. I don't think Virtue and Moyer are going to set another world record at the World Championships. I just feel like they've had so much success. I think there's got to be
a cap.
there's going to be a mistake. Someone's going to trip up, especially for a team. And I'm not trying to jinx them, but for a team in 2013 and 2014, kept hitting little toe picks and making little small errors around length of lift and so forth. To help give Davis and White the wins, it's amazing to me that they have just been so smooth and flawless. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is the new standard that Virtue and Moyer are performing at. But I also think something's just gotta give. There's got to be some jerky movement somewhere that's just going to hold them back. So I'm not expecting that they're going to run away with it necessarily the way they have in the past. And I think Papadakis and Cizeron, I think their biggest challenge this season, it's been both programs, but the free dance, their free dance score from Boston, which was I think around 118, is still a world record. So Virtue and Moyer have the world record now in the short dance and the combined score. Papadakis and Cizeron, if they can muster that winning quality from that free dance in Boston, and if they can finally smooth out the kinks and get all their levels in the short dance, they could be a lot closer to Virtue and Moyer than we've seen thus far this season. What do you think about the top two? That's the most fascinating push, I think, because they're both so good. They have this je ne sais quoi quality, and of course they're now in the same training camp with Marie-France and Patrice in Montreal.
Yeah. Those are very obviously the top 2 teams. I don't think the Ships or Chalk and Bates or whoever might else be going for those top spots are really going to touch Virtue and Moyer or Papadakis and Cicerone. I actually think Papadakis and Cicerone are the ones who are kind of showing a bit of weakness this year, whereas Virtue and Moyer have shown such consistency. I don't think there have been any, like, and I don't want to jinx it either, I don't think there have been any signs of, like, Virtue and Moyer really flubbing. Like, they look a lot more sure-footed, they're getting their levels, they are expressing themselves more, and they're showing a different side of them. They're not just doing what worked well for them in the past, they're actually, like, upping their game, and that's something that I think Papadakis and Cicerone have struggled a little bit to convey throughout the season. The vehicles haven't been as successful as the ones in the past, and again, like, as we talked about, that reigning two-time world champion status can be a bit of a plague, because then it's like, well, how do I differentiate myself this year? Like, and to maintain that level is very, very difficult. I mean, Papadakis and Cicerone, they lost the short dance at Europeans, right? And they obviously stormed back in the free, as one might have expected. But they did show some vulnerability, and whereas Virtue and Moyer have been, like, foot perfect throughout the entire season, even when, at the beginning, when there was the question of, like, oh, well, who would come out on top if they faced each other? Well, they met on the Grand Prix, and you know,
there was no question.
There was no question at that point.
Just steamrolled them.
They just steamrolled, and it was just it's interesting because when a team that was in ice dance comes back, like in the past, you kind of would expect them to, like, all of a sudden just, like, go ahead of everyone that they did before. But Virtue and Moyer have really earned their spot at the top this season, and they are definitely, they want that Olympic gold medal. Sorry, DGA, but Virtue and Moyer are gunning for that Olympic gold medal, and they're looking to cement the top spot at Worlds. And I don't know if they'll break a record, but I think there's a good chance that they will. I think that Worlds is when the top scores are given out, especially last year at Worlds, which was like everybody was getting personal best. You get a personal best, and you get a personal best, and you get a personal best. Like, it was, the judges were the Oprah of personal best in ice dance last year. So I don't know. I think this year that Virtue and Moyer have a really good shot at breaking the world record, but I
just can't see them sustaining this. At this point, like, I think there's got to be some limits. There's going to be.
Okay, well, as long as they flub a summer competition or something like that, and then everyone will be like, oh god, everyone would start panicking.
Right.
No, but, like, I think I don't know. Virtue and Moyer, they also have the experience as well. We got to remember that. Like, it's like it's been almost a decade since they medaled at Worlds. When did they?
2008, right? Yeah. 2008.
Yeah, something like that. So they've been around for a while. Yeah. So
they know how to do it.
So they know how to get the job done, and they've improved since last time. They're not just resting on pretty and resting on experience. So that's why I think, and you think, they'll end up getting the top spot. And Papadakis and Cicerone, while they're a wonderful team, I just think they'll fall a bit short of Virtue and Moyer. And so we both picked Americans.
We diverge in our bronze medal picks. I've got Chalk and Bates. So for me,
I have the Shibutanis.
Yeah, so the Shibutanis, for me, I feel like it's sort of the world rankings, or kind of the teams that are slotted are Virtue and Moyer, and then Papadakis and Cicerone, and the Shibutanis. And I feel as though, for one thing, I think the judging system, the judges are they're going to get a bit worried that it looks like it's too predictable. So I have a feeling that the Shibutanis are really going to have to earn that bronze medal if they're going to snag it. And Chalk and Bates have been showing, I mean, great grit. Like, my gosh, you cannot discount this team.
Especially at Worlds.
I didn't love the Rachmaninoff free skate they skated to last year. I thought that was a bit of a gift, and I kind of thought, I don't think they're going to sustain this, because their programs last year, I had to really push myself to like their golden waltz. This year, their programs, I think, stand out. I think Queen is phenomenal. I know there's been discussion, and some people don't agree with that, but I think it stands out amongst these sort of more melodious, harder to get into programs that the top 3 teams have chosen. And, just when you think that they've got a bit of, chink in their armor, they come back really strong. So it was looking like Hubble and Donahue might surpass them at U.S. Nationals, and Chalk and Bates were like, no way. And we're going to win the free skate, or the free dance, and we're going to put the heat on the Shibutanis. And, similarly at the Four Continents Championships, they made sure that with the return, or their first meeting this season with Weaver and Poge, that they were still going to be on top. They were still going to be on top of Hubble and Donahue. I mean, I think the Four Continents ice dance competition was probably one of the most intense, really, the top teams. I mean, apart from Papadakis and Cicerone, and they hung tough. And I think that's going to serve them really well at the World Championships, and I think they're going to come through strongly.
Well, I think that Chalk and Bates or the Shibutanis will probably be like that gunning for that bronze medal. Capilani and Lenote might also be a contender for that as well. Weaver and Poge have kind of fallen off a little bit, and they haven't really done well at Worlds, but they also didn't have a good Four Continents, so hopefully they can bounce back from that.
Because I think, for example, not to go on a tangent on Weaver and Poge, but I think their transitions and their spins are phenomenal.
And their presence on the ice.
Yeah, their vehicles this year are quite strong.
I think they might be hurting mainly because they're now the Canadian number 2 team, right?
Yeah, they're number 2. They've got a new coach. They're getting, they're probably getting oriented with new training and so forth. Yeah,
but they don't have that clout, right? That normally gets from being the country's number 1 team, and that's one of the reasons I think the Shibutanis will win. I don't think their free program is as good as it was last year. I mean, last year Coldplay was an absolute masterpiece, but this year, the reason why I think they'll come out on top is because they have stronger elements than Chalk and Bates and the other teams gunning for bronze, in my opinion. Chalk and Bates have really great performance qualities, but when it comes to levels and the grade of execution, like their twizzles, for example, the Shibs get the job done, and they have some of the best elements, if not the best elements in the world, and they can... I don't think they'll challenge Papadakis and Cicerone, but I think you might see their technical scores surpass Papadakis and Cicerone to keep it close. So that's one of the reasons why I think that the Shibs will actually almost cement themselves on the podium. But I can totally see it work, like Chalk and Bates getting it as well. But in all their past competitions, the Shibs have continually while Chalk and Bates have brought on the heat, as you said, they've managed to be resilient and managed to get those placements over them. So that's why I think they'll end up getting the bronze medal at Worlds. But as we said, there's Weaver and Poge and Capellini and Lenote. I think Bobrova and Soloviev, as I said this at the beginning of the season, that Russia always makes a push going into the Olympics because they're like, we're the ice dance, they've had 3 ice dance teams other than, I think, one Olympics where they were only allowed 2 teams. But, they've maxed out their ice dance contingents at the Olympics since probably when ice dance was in the Olympics, and it was, the Soviet Union.
Yep.
So, I'm as much as I love some Russian ice dance, I think this year they're definitely not going to get the 3 spots that they need. It's just too saturated at the top. You have Hubble and Donahue as well, who also could make a splash and definitely challenge for the top 5.
And talk about showing versatility with their short dance and free dance.
Oh yeah, they're one of the most versatile teams this year, and I think if not for the other 2 American teams, Hubble and Donahue would get a lot more credit, and I think that they're one of the future teams to watch after the Olympics.
Well, I mean, they've got to cross their fingers and hope that one of the teams, one of the Shibutanis or Chalk and Bates, are going to retire after 2018.
I think they can catch up.
Hard to know.
I think they can catch up. Like the Shibs, they had placed behind Chalk and Bates and stuff like that, and then they got it together and managed to surpass. So the great thing about ice dance is that you're not waiting in line as it has been in the past. You can actually legitimately. I mean, Papadakis and Cicerone were 13th or 15th and won Worlds the next year. So there is definitely movement potential. But the Russian teams, I think Bobrova and Soloviev, they're a very strong team. They're definitely being pushed closer to that podium. I think they might have a really outside shot at 4th or 5th. I mean, I know there's Chalk and Bates and the Shibutanis, but I don't know. It's Russia, right? So like they're gonna want a contender, at least for the team event. They're gonna want a strong team.
It's hard. I mean, even Gillies and Poirier last year made the final flight. They made the top 5 after the short dance.
Yeah, and
and they've got the goods with Carol Lane as a coach.
Yeah.
They've got a great repertoire. Who knows what they'll be able to bring out.
And talk about diversity in programs. I mean, their little disco program this year has had us all like getting a little retro nostalgia.
And then, the Argentine tango has been one of the most popular free dances out there. So
I think it's actually
there could be a real mix amongst the the 5th to 8th placements.
Oh yeah, the bookies are going to be making a lot of money because this is going to be very hard to predict. I also just shout out to the second Russian team, Stepanov and Bukin. I think they're like one of the teams to watch along with Hubble and Donahue that can really not like break the top 5 necessarily, but like definitely cement themselves into going into the next Olympic year. And I don't know, like there's going to be a lot of great performances at Worlds, and I expect the top 2 teams to like kind of monopolize the 2 spaces. But after that, it gets a little bit dicey for like who's going to win third, who's going to be like in that final flight, who's really, and even the rest of the top 10. There's a lot of really talented teams. Like we've talked about like 8 or 9 teams that have like that could be like anywhere from like 4th to 8th or whatever. Totally. So it'll be really interesting to see how the ice dance competition shapes up in Worlds.
Agreed. So thanks for watching this episode of the Blade Boys. Please feel free to comment and give us your thoughts on who you think are will be the contenders in Helsinki. If you disagree with us, that's great. Tell us why. And also head on over to Golden Skate. Check out their outstanding coverage and also the discussion boards to get more into the conversation.
Yeah, and this guy will also be at Worlds. So if you guys have any questions or want to have any comments about like Worlds and like what the experience is like, this one's the one to ask.
I'll do my best to fill you in.
All right, and with that, it is the Blade Boys, and we are signing off, and we will see you after Worlds.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.